Hey guys, so I thought I would give you a recap of September and update you on what I was up to last month, and then provide my view of the month ahead and my intentions for October. Some of this will be tarot related and some of it will not be. Just random things that have been going on in my life and that I've been involved in. So my working deck for September was the Naked Heart Tarot by Jillian C. Wilde. I had just received this deck, and at the same time, Lionhearts on Instagram was hosting a September Tarot Challenge featuring the Naked Heart Tarot. So I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity for me to participate in the challenge when and where I could and make this an exclusive working deck for the month of September. And I have to say, I really enjoyed my time with this deck. The readings were crystal clear, and I loved the clear voice of the deck. Not too hard, not too soft. It was overall a fantastic experience. So this is a keeper as far as I'm concerned. So this is the Love Your Inner Goddess Oracle. This is the deck that I was working with in September, and actually even a couple months before that. And I did do a review of this deck. This was wonderful in terms of providing me with a more nurturing, comforting, encouraging voice during the times that I needed it, during times of self-doubt and feeling a little bit demoralized, starting to fall into apathy. This deck was there for me, and I really appreciated the messages that it had to offer. Okay, so then on to some non-tarot related things. Mainly books, because I am a huge bookworm. I started in September a book called Uprooted by Naomi Novik. And I know I'm super late to this party because this is a popular novel and I just missed that memo. I'll read you a little bit of the summary. Agnieszka loves her valley home, her quiet village, the forests, and the bright shining river. But the corrupted wood stands on the border, full of malevolent power, and its shadow lies over her life. Her people rely on the cold-driven wizard known only as the dragon to keep its powers at bay, but he demands a terrible price for his help. One young woman handed over to serve him for 10 years, a fate almost as terrible as falling to the wood. The next choosing is fast approaching, and Agnieszka is afraid. She knows, everyone knows, that the dragon will take Cassia, beautiful, graceful, brave. And then, of course, you know that that is not going to happen. So this is a young adult, or maybe it's, no, I think it is. I think it's like a young adult romantic fantasy novel. I am all about fantasy. And so far, so good. I've only gotten to chapter 9, and then I had to return the library book because I rented it from the library. I think libraries are wonderful. It's an underutilized resource, and unfortunately probably a dying resource. But the one bad thing is that if somebody puts that novel on hold, then I cannot read news. So I just ended up downloading it onto my Kindle, and we'll continue on from there. And then the other book that I started in September, and this is on audio, is Nevermoor, The Trials of Morrigan by Jessica Townsend. And I realize I'm late to the Nevermoor party as well with this one. Morrigan Crow is cursed, having been born on Eventide, the unluckiest day for any child to be born. She's blamed for all local misfortunes. And worst of all, the curse means that Morrigan is doomed to die at midnight on her 11th birthday. But as Morrigan awaits her fate, a strange and remarkable man named Jupiter North appears. He whisks her away into the safety of a secret magical city called Nevermoor. Morrigan discovers Jupiter has chosen her to contend for a place in the city's most prestigious organization, the Wondrous Society. In order to join, she must compete in 4 difficult and dangerous trials against hundreds of other children, each boasting an extraordinary talent that sets them apart, an extraordinary talent that Morrigan insists she does not have. To stay in the safety of Nevermoor for good, Morrigan will need to find a way to pass the tests, or she will have to leave the city to confront her deadly fate. So I've often heard this described as like basically a Harry Potter type book, and so far I'm enjoying this one as well. I just started it, and it's a little, when you're listening to it on audiobook, it's a little slower going, so I'm not too far in at all. But those are the 2 books that I started in September and intend to finish this month. So for October, I think you'll find that the decks I intend to work with are not surprising at all. Tarot of Vampyres by Ian Daniels. I've said in a previous video that this deck isn't the easiest for me. I think it's because it's just so packed with information in the guidebook to really lend meaning to these cards. And so with a number of these cards, when I look at the image, it's not so intuitive for me what exactly I'm supposed to be, the message I'm supposed to be receiving. I mean, I know the traditional Rider-Waite image, but it doesn't necessarily coincide with some of the imagery in these cards, and that's okay. And so for this month, I want to work more with it, get to know it better, use my intuition more, revisit the guidebook. I remember when I first got this deck, I read the guidebook all the way through. I mean, and it's well written, so many good nitty-gritty details, but ultimately a lot of those details just didn't stick. When I would take this deck back out intermittently throughout the months, it wasn't the smoothest experience, and yet I really am digging these images, I'm digging this deck, so I don't want to necessarily give up on it. I think there's something there for me. I just have to put more time and energy into it, which admittedly I've been perhaps lazy about. In terms of Oracle deck, you want to take a guess? Halloween Oracle, Stacey DeMarco. I mean, who isn't working with this deck this month? And I don't blame you, because it's a fantastic deck. When I bought this deck last year, I thought, oh, this will just be, a fun time. But actually, it gets pretty deep. So I love it. And I've taken it out in during other months besides Halloween, because I really enjoy it that much. But I will say I get especially excited to work with this deck during October. And fun fact, I didn't know what Barmbrack was until this deck. I've never heard of it before, and I had to look it up. I mean, I could tell by the picture, it's like, oh, some kind of baked good, possibly with pumpkin in it, but I had no idea what that was. So you learn something new every day. Also this month, I intend to start learning Marseille. I have been wanting to learn more about Marseille and Pip style decks when I got the Tarot of a Moon Garden, and I just never really got around to it. But Lisa from Supportive Tarot is starting a series with Marseille and Tom Benjamin's book, Tarot on Earth. So we'll be using this book, and I just bought the Marshmallow Marseilles because I've heard a lot about it, and I have no frame of reference for Marseille decks, and I don't have a strong opinion on them either way. That's one of the reasons why I didn't really do a flip through of this. Let me know if you would like a flip through. There are so many out there. I mean, I do think the backings are gorgeous. I just, you know, I don't think one way or another about it. I just know that people seem to love this particular deck, so I thought, why not? I need a Marseille deck to work with. I do enjoy the colors. I enjoy the sketch-like quality of the cards. I also enjoy how small they are. But other than that, I don't have any strong feelings about it. And I've yet to really look through this. I mean, I did see chapter 1 and it said numerology, and I was like, oh yeah, of course there would be numerology. See, this is how little I know about Marseille. But of course there would be. That makes complete sense that numerology would be tied to Marseille, and at the same time, it sounds so mathematical, which I'm allergic to math, and I think that's partly why I have a hard time with astrology. I've been trying to learn more about astrology, and I've just been coming on some stumbling blocks because it's starting to feel like math. But I trust you, Tom Benjamin. We shall see how this goes, and I plan to keep everyone updated on how I'm doing with this, and then at the end, perhaps provide a review of this book as well. This next thing I'm going to share with you is a little silly, but it's a joy of mine. Life's Simple Pleasures. I have a bit of a mug collecting problem. Same as how I work with my decks, where I try to switch off every month to give each deck attention. I have had to do that with my mugs as well, because I collected so many that some of them get neglected. And actually, maybe a couple years ago, I did a massive decluttering of our apartment, and that included a lot of my mugs that I just became bored with and no longer use, so I donated those, but I still have a decent collection, and so I'm going to be showing you my October mugs. I think you already caught a glimpse of this one. This one isn't mine, actually. It's Matt's. He just got it at the Renaissance Festival. There's a video up. And like I said in that video, he doesn't drink coffee or tea inside the apartment. So he doesn't really use, no, he never uses mugs. He never uses them. So I can't let this beautiful creation just sit there and collect dust. It must be used. So I'm going to use it. And I guarantee he's not going to use this. He just wanted to buy it because it's badass. It's really big and really heavy, but perfect for October. And then here is a Sugar Skulls mug that I purchased in Mexico. So I figure it's perfect. It's pretty and perfect for Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead. And then similarly, this is another Sugar Skull mug. I received this as a birthday gift some years ago, and actually I use this daily, but especially appropriate for Halloween. It is one of my favorites. I love it so much. Books. I will finish Nevermoor. I will finish Uprooted. Actually, I intend to also finish What the WTF is Tarot and How Do I Do It by Bakara Wintner. I started that in like August, and then and it was good, and then I just, for some reason, I kind of stopped and started up other things and never got around to finishing it. So I want to finish that book, and maybe I'll do a book review. But we'll see if I'm putting too much on my plate here. Because then on top of that, I have some plans for my book. In case some of you don't know, I've written my first novel and I sent it off for line editing. It's a young adult, like romantic fantasy novel. It was meant to be a fairy tale retelling of Goose Girl by the Grimm brothers, the Brothers Grimm, and then it just morphed into something else. So it's like a loose imagining, like inspired by this fairy tale. But anyway, I sent it off for line editing and I was told I would receive it back in mid-October. In the meantime, I will be researching agents. I think I'm gonna try the agent route and research some agents and also research some publishing companies that take unsolicited manuscripts, and then we shall go from there. Hopefully by the end of the month, I will have reviewed the edits to my manuscript and have compiled all the research I need to start sending out query letters and sending out the first few chapters of my manuscript. Like, just saying that, it's like, holy shit, it's like a little scary, but I'm telling you guys this now to hold myself accountable. That is it for my September recap and October outlook. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care, much love, bye-bye.